Redditors who cook. What's the biggest no-no thing in cooking? Don't let your baking powder get clumpy. Tiny rocks of baking powder ruin anything you bake. Glass cutting boards. Like seriously. Just GTFO. And in a similar vein, dangerously dull knives. I've seen some real bludgeons in other people's kitchens, no wonder they hate prep work. Don't try to catch a drop knife. Back away and let it fall. Never, and I mean never, panic if you start a fire on accident. You need to be calm enough to know if you have to smother it, oil or grease fires, or grab the extinguisher. Panicking can get your house burned down. Learn this the hard way. Don't throw fresh chili peppers into a hot pan unless you want to pepper spray the whole house. Coming anywhere near my non-stick pan with metal. If you scratch my pan, I will scratch your soul. For the love of God, stop mucking about with whatever it is you're cooking. Unless it's something you specifically need to be mixing or stirring constantly. Leave it alone. You'll never get proper color on things if they make more contact with your spatula than your pan. Using metal utensils on Teflon-coated cookware, cooking beef well done. Having ketchup as a pasta sauce, instead of making one, which is super easy and million times tastier. Never pour spices directly into a steaming pot on the stove. The spices will congeal in their containers from the moisture introduced. Instead, put the spices in a separate side container, then add to a steaming pot. Feeling like it's too hard or being afraid to experiment with stuff? Obviously don't try something totally new when you're cooking for guests, but don't feel like failing means you suck. If you mess up, learn from it and move on. It's not the end of the world. Adding salt as a matter of course, or just because the recipe says to. Taste first, and only add if needed. If you've used stock or a stock cube in your dish, you might not even need salt. They already have it. The second most dangerous thing in the kitchen is a dull knife. The most dangerous thing in the kitchen is me with a sharpened knife if you insist on standing in my way at every twist and turn. If you ain't cooking, get out of the kitchen. Do not start cooking unless all, or almost all, ingredients are prepped. You cannot start chopping onions while your meat is frying dry in the pan. Cutting a steak without letting it rest. Cutting a steak to check if it's done and then putting it back on the pan. Cooking everything on the stove on high. I noticed people who don't really know how to cook always do this. Burning things on a pan isn't cooking. Some pretty amusing responses here. I'm a chef with 24 years of experience in the industry in multiple countries. And I'll avoid all the obvious nitpicks about everything for domestic cooking and keep it simple. So I will say that a key difference is that we keep our knives insanely sharp compared to home cooks and domestic knives. Vigorously. It makes everything a lot faster when you have knife skills. My personal advice? Never use a microwave to cook. Ever. It's a tool for reheating. Nothing more. Never attempt to cook potatoes in the microwave. Or anything for that matter. Throw the aromatics in first. Gives me ducking aids every time I see people throw raw garlic into a recipe like 5 minutes before serving it. If your oil is on fire, don't use water to extinguish it. Actually, even if it isn't on fire, don't put water in hot oil. Putting cheese into everything just because you can. Got some potato and leek soup? Oh yeah, let's just chuck in some grated cheese. Some fried rice and vegetables? Hey, I know, let's add cheese. A Sunday roast. With a nice roast chicken and some roasted vegetables? Hey, let's put some cheese on those roasted vegetables, haha. Don't get me wrong. I love cheese. But there is a time and a place for it. If you're one of those people that I've just referenced, I have 2 simple words for you. Fuck off. Blunt knives. I am by no means a pro chef. But I hate cooking at other people's places because they never have sharp knives. If I know I'm going to cook at someone's place, I bring my own. Medium rare chicken is not a thing. Don't touch your eyes after cutting chili and always clean your hand. FFS, it's basic knowledge. Remember, you can't get some stuff back after you add it. Go slow with seasonings. And lightly. You can always add more, but you can't take it back. Don't let your food taste like ocean water. This doesn't pertain to the cooking itself really, but keep your knife sharp. It's one of your most important tools in the kitchen. I cringe when I see people at work or in Reddit posts scraping ingredients off the cutting board with the blade side of their knife. Not salting your food. You don't add salt to make the food taste salty. You add salt to make the food taste like food. Add a pinch at each stage of cooking and it will come out much better than if you hadn't. Or if you'd waited until the very end. On the flip side, never salt scrambled eggs before they go into the pan. That's what makes them lose their color and turn grayish. Wait until they've started to set and then season. When you are getting ready to cook a steak, let it sit out and come to room temperature before you start cooking it. That way it all cooks to the same temp. Pouring water to try to cool down the oil and make it smoke less. It'll only make it worse. Water is the last thing you pour on a hot pan with oil on it. Chopping vegetables that are to remain raw on the same cutting board for raw meat. Technically, you should never cut vegetables and raw meat on the same board. But if I'm throwing in onions to cook with my chicken, I'm not getting another one out. If I'm chopping lettuce for a salad, then hell yeah, get another board. The microwave. Anything you're thinking about cooking in the microwave will taste 100 times better if you use any other cooking method available. Overcooking. Meat should be red. Vegetables and potatoes should have a bite. Pasta should be al dente. Chicken obviously needs to be cooked well. But don't get it too dry. It's not hard, but it takes a while to get it right. Don't even touch my goddamn cast irons. I spent hours treating rust and yelling because my roommates dug 4 of them up. Never fill up any sauce or soup with water. Use a good stock instead. And if you don't want to make your own stock every day, just buy one. It makes such a huge difference in taste. And also butter makes everything better. Gatekeeping. Telling people they have to cook things a certain way or enjoy their food the right way. There's no objectively right way to enjoy food, so duck off, lol. Salt to bring out the flavor, not to make it taste salty. Let the people eating it add the salt they want. Don't add salt to eggs before making an omelette. It breaks it down too much. Also, don't whisk too much. You don't need to incorporate air into it. Do this and you get velvety eggs. Multiple chefs. I hate walking around people in the kitchen and sharing knives throws me off. Boiling vegetables because it's easy. Just about everything is better sautéed or roasted in the stove. You are doing yourself a disfavor if you don't try veggies in these different styles and figure out what tastes best. So good for you. And 1,000x better flavor. Microwaves. I'm not 100% against them, but easily 90% of food can be reheated in the oven. In my experience, 10 minutes at 350 does wonders to bring the life back to food. Toaster ovens are ducking awesome as well. These are all about knives, but they're one of your most important tools. This one takes practice to get over the instinct. But never attempt to catch a drop knife. Step away. And please God, don't buy a glass cutting board. They dull knives and they are slippery. Get a knife block, magnet, or at least a drawer divider. Keeping knives piled up in a drawer is asking for trouble. Finally, the steel that came with your set is for straightening the fine point of your knife. A sharpener or stone is for sharpening a dull point. Don't touch everything after handling raw meat. Wash your hands before touching anything else, or wear gloves and remove after handling meat. I've seen so many YouTube videos where they immediately start touching the spice containers, the outside of the bowl, pot or pan handles, the oven door handle. It makes me cringe. Putting a baby in the microwave. It's too large. You gotta bake it in the oven.